Hey, folks. Sorry for the technical delays. We haven't got them all figured out, but I think we're in good shape right now that we can make this thing go. And really pleased to have with us Lieutenant Colonel Kay Ebelt. She is the director for the Rocky Mountain Aerospace Education. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn it over to Kay and kind of get started. So let's, without further ado, let me make sure I've got all the right stuff. I'm going to download make sure I download the right presentation, and we can go from there. But we'll let her get started, and I'll introduce you to Kay.
Hi everybody. I'm not able to hear Stan, so I'm just going to start, and hopefully I can get my PowerPoint up and I'll go through the agenda. But welcome to our first aerospace web, and hopefully this will be the beginning of many more. And thank you very much for joining in, and also thank you for your patience for the technical difficulty that we may have. So Stan, if you can get the PowerPoint up, I'm going to go ahead and get started just with the agenda, and we'll zip through that. And go ahead and the next slide. So here's what we would do tonight. Just go through some of the revisions to CAPR 280-2. Some of you may already be aware of that. And then talk about some of the changes in the JAG Test, the STEM education, the STEM kits, and the 2014 Aeo Schools. And then I have some a Let's Engineer workshop that's coming up in Wyoming. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the aerospace education opportunities that I've been experiencing while in Washington, D.C. And then a blog that I'm going to start. And then if you have any questions at all at the end, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Okay, Stan, next slide. This is just a little bit about me for those of you that don't know me. I'm a teacher. I'm a math and science teacher in Montana, and last year I applied for a fellowship called the Einstein Fellowship, and was selected to move out to Washington, D.C. for 11 months, which has now turned into 2 years. And I've been working at the National Science Foundation in the Engineering Directorate and learning as much as I can about engineering education. And when I return to Montana, I will be now outside the classroom and going around the state and maybe the region, teaching others and going to universities and having teacher workshops on engineering education. So my background is education, obviously, and I also have a physics and geology master's degree. And some of the things that I just put on this website tonight are just, you know, some of the highlights of my life is flying in microgravity. And the Civil Air Patrol has also been very good to me. And I'm just, I've been in CAP for about 17 years, and I have loved every minute of it. And I'm very passionate about aerospace education, and I'm very excited about the direction we're taking with engineering and STEM education. And that's what I want to talk to you tonight about, is the direction of where this is all going. And there's some really exciting opportunities for you to become involved in some of this. Okay, next slide. So these are the things that I've been doing this year so far. I'm here with 27 other teachers, math and science teachers from all across the country, and they are all in either National Science Foundation or they're at NASA, Department of Energy, NOAA, or on the Capitol Hill. And we all meet once a month and discuss what we've been doing. And we've all been learning a lot about engineering, because engineering is coming into the schools, and that's something that we're not trained in. And that's one of the most important things that we're learning is what's important as far as engineering into the schools, and what do we need to make that happen and be successful. A lot of colleges that teach teachers, they don't know how to teach engineering either. So that's one of the things that we're hoping to learn, how to do this, and we can go back to our respective states and teach more educators how to teach engineering. One of the projects I worked on in the winter was the Science of the Winter Olympics, engineering and sports, and I was able to work with some of the NASA or the National Science Foundation grantees on vibration damping of skis. They're working with carbon nanotubing and trying to pour this solution on skis to help with the damping, and so the skiers can stay on the slopes. So that was a pretty exciting beginning to my fellowship out here. I've also been working with Purdue and University of Virginia on additive manufacturing, 3D printing. So you can see one of the pictures up there is an airfoil, some airplanes, a wind tunnel. Afenia has given me 3 Afenia 3D printers. Cubify is given me some other printers, some cube printers that you can actually buy at Staples. So we've been experimenting a little bit with those. The Einstein Fellows have also gotten together, and we've designed several additive manufacturing and 3D printing lessons that will be published at the end of August. And one of the goals that I have for next year is to take some of the aerospace engineering modules and add an engineering component to that. That's one of the opportunities. I was hoping that if you're interested in something like that and you'd like to contribute to the book, part of your master's rating, you are published, and so that could go towards your master's rating if you're interested in writing a lesson for it. We went to Youngstown, Ohio, and learned how to use CAD software, learned the engineering design process. They took us through how you sit down and just sketch your ideas out. You take your ideas, go to the computer, start designing, and then we eventually, the picture that you see in the middle is our Making the White House Green project, where we designed and printed out a White House, a smart car, hovercrafts, wind turbines, a beehive, and an organic garden, and some tropes. And we hope to take this to the White House on June 18th, and you'll hear about that in a little while, and present this to the president, but it looks like that might not happen. And I'll share that in a minute. One of the other things that I've been doing at NSF is sharing with the engineers what I need as a teacher, because I feel comfortable teaching engineering. I've been comparing science with the engineering process, and they've been helping me understand what kids need to learn and what students need to learn that will make them successful. I've also had a lot of training at NSF as far as proposal writing. I went to a writing workshop, an additive manufacturing workshop. There's training just about every day if you have the time to do it. So I've selected the training that I felt most important and ones that I could come back and be most beneficial to our state and region. I've also had many opportunities to meet with our congressman, Montana especially, and then kind of for fun, I took a medical school, so I'm actually a mini medical doctor now. I can handle many injuries like a cut finger or something like that. So it was kind of fun to take an 8-week course on medical at the Georgetown Medical School on some, neurology and circulatory system and things like that, and just a 2-hour once a week. And we got a little certificate that we were mini doctors. Okay, so next slide. So that was a little bit about the year. It's gone fast, and so now shift a little bit to Civil Air Patrol and some changes that have occurred just in our CR 280-2. These are some of the revisions. Of course, you can actually go online and read this in its entirety, but I just wanted to highlight a few things. Mostly the years changed, so it's October to September, and it's not the calendar year. The senior members are now known as active adult members, and the AEPSM is no longer. That's been often confused with the JAG award. So now the AEPSM will no longer be used as a CAP acronym. Awards, I have on the next couple slides the dates, and again, you don't need to write any of this down. It's all in the manual. You can look it up. But I just wanted to point out the dates most of them are the same, but the calendar year has changed. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide, Stan, and I'll show you some of those activity report due dates. This is award nominations, and for wings with group level organizations, the squadron level nomination due by November 15th, group December, wing nominations by January 15th, and this is nothing new. For wings without group level, November 15th, and then wing to region 15th of January, and region to headquarters March 15th. Next slide. So plan of action for wings, this is October 15th, and this may be new. So squadron, your aerospace plan of actions are due by, if you're in a group, the 15th of October, group to wing November 15th, and wing to region the 15th of January. Then the region sends to headquarters by February 15th. And for wings without group level, October 15th, wing to region, January 15th, and region to headquarters, February 15th. And like I said, this is all in your aerospace handbook, and you can look it up. And one last slide on dates, and then we'll move on. And reporting requirements for AE activity reports, squadron AE activity reports are due at group October 15th, and group wing November 15th, and wing to region January 15th, and then I'll send out to headquarters February 15th. Are there any questions at this point you have on reporting before I go on? Okay. Okay, Stan, let's go on. Next slide, Stan.
I lost it. I lost it.
Okay.
Hold on, hold on.
Okay. Yeah. And some of you already know this, but I just want to reiterate that the JAG tests are available online. You can take them either open book or closed book. And members are encouraged to take the test online through the CAP's learning management system, or they may opt out to take a paper test in your unit. But it's so convenient to just go online and test. And for more information, you can go to your CAPB 15, and that's your Aerospace Officer's Handbook. And after successful completion of the test, members will receive the Chuck Yeager Award. Now, what I used to do when I was the Wing Aerospace Director is award these during the Wing Conference, because it just made it a special award to receive during the conference. It had a lot of visibility. So it might be something you might consider. It gets a lot of people to take the test knowing that the award at the Wing Conference. So it became kind of a big deal in Montana, and if you're doing that already, you probably know that. I just think it was a squadron level kind of award, and I wanted to make a big deal out of it, and so I chose to do this during the Wing. And I guess the downside would be that sometimes, they have to wait to get their award. It's still in the computer, but sometimes they have to wait to get it, or the recognition for it. Okay, Stan, next slide. And for anyone new, this is your handbook. This has absolutely everything you could possibly want. This is your Aerospace Education Officer's Handbook. And it has all of your reporting, the mission of CP, just how to do everything. And hopefully these webinars will help, because we'll go through this manual step by step. And for those of you that are new to CAP, new to aerospace education, hopefully this will help you. And I'm there to help you and guide you, and those that have been in CAP just as long as I have, I know they would be more than willing to help too. Okay, next slide. So STEM education, as most know, is a pretty big movement, and it's been there a long time. And I had the chance while I've been out here to go to visit the CIA, and one of the messages that they wanted to tell teachers is that if we don't start getting kids in STEM education and into STEM careers, our nation's security is at risk. And I started to think about that, and how is it that could be? And if you think about it, engineering especially is everywhere, and that's something that we need to start encouraging our students to pursue. And one of the ways we can do that is to make them understand what engineering is. A lot of students that I've had think that engineering is someone who drives a train. They just really don't know what engineering is. And if you look around your room, look around your house, look around your cities, engineering is absolutely everywhere. And we need to start engineering as early as possible in schools. And so one of CAP's plan of action is to start addressing this. And they have address this through many ways. One of the ways is through the new STEM kits, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But using aerospace as a spark, aerospace is just something that gets the attention of our youth, and it generates enthusiasm, and it's just one of those things that we can get kids hooked on to pursue math, science, technology, and engineering. Next slide, Stan. This is one of the ways that CAP is trying to get kids interested in STEM fields. And I just applied for one of the kits myself for an upcoming workshop that I'm doing in Wyoming, and they're free. Only 40% of CAP units have even applied for these. So this is something that you'll get it. And there's 3 different kinds of kits. And for those of you that have never heard of STEM, STEM just simply means science, technology, engineering, and math. And you can just go to the capmemberswebsite.com/AE and apply. There's a robotics kit, and if you see the picture, there's a little robotic arm, and that's what you'll actually get. You'll get to keep it for your squadron. There's a flight simulator kit that you'll get a flight simulator for your squadron. There's a manual that goes with it. And then you have your telescope. You can get a telescope for the astronomy kit. With each STEM kit, there's certificates that go with it. They're absolutely beautiful. These are pictures of the certificates with the manuals. And with the astronomy kit, there's also a video, a DVD that comes with it to show, in case you have a your night to stargaze doesn't work out so well, you can show these video clips as a backup. But I just got mine, and they're just absolutely wonderful. So there's more. They have so many of these kits. They just need you to apply for them, and you'll absolutely get one. And you'll hear in about 2 weeks from the time you apply before you'll actually have it on your doorstep. So please apply for them. Next slide. These are the 2014 Aeo Schools that are coming up. There was one just recently in May. I didn't include that here, but there's the next Aeo School will be June 23rd to the 28th in Pensacola, Florida. And there's a point of contact on the screen for you to contact and apply. The next one is July 22nd in Dayton, Ohio. October 16th through the 18th in Connecticut. And then we have, I don't see a date, RMR Ae School, still working on the date, sorry, and the location. And you can apply at the CAP website at the aerospace link and just click on the AE announcements to learn more and where to apply. So they're excellent schools. They teach you, they go through the handbook, and you'll come out of there knowing absolutely everything you need to know about your job as an AEO. And DAEs, I would encourage you to actually attend a AEO school and actually as an instructor and help some of our AEOs that are new. All right, next slide. Okay, this is something I'm really excited about, and this is something I've been doing a lot since I've been out here and trying to use all of my new knowledge of all my engineering classes that I've been taking. And I will be coming to Wyoming in July 17th through the 20th, and I will have taught this class about 4 times before I get there, so hopefully I'll get the bugs worked out. But this is a class that I've had over 30 cadets apply for. They had to write an essay, and I've selected the winning 20 that will be coming to this camp to learn more about engineering. And we're hoping to continue to do this each summer and just continue to increase our engineering capabilities, and hopefully this program will grow. What you'll learn at this camp, and if you're interested in helping out, I could certainly use the help. If you'd like to just come and sit in, you're welcome to do that. So we'll be covering what is engineering, how is it taught in the K-12 schools, and also how you can use engineering in your squadrons. How do real engineers practice and promote invaluable engineering practices in the 21st century, the skills that we need the kids to have. And decision making is something that I've learned from the engineers that I work with. The engineers in my office are from Stanford and Purdue and MIT and Princeton. And I've asked them, you know, what kind of skills do our kids need to have to be successful in engineering or, you know, in life. And they, the one common skill that they have all talked to me about is decision making and critical thinking, and also, you know, just the passion for taking things apart and using their hands, and creativity. And I said, well, how do you teach creativity? And they've provided me with some activities that we're going to use at this camp that will kind of teach that and show you. You know, you don't have to be the most creative person in the world, but you have ideas, and you can think, and everybody's ideas are important. And sometimes when you make everyone feel safe about sharing their ideas, and sometimes it's the most unusual idea that ends up being something that they end up designing. So it's a process that we go through in this camp that teaches you how to go through the actual engineering design process to come up with some creative and innovative way of solving a problem or making something better. So the participants of this camp will learn the engineering design process through several design challenges. They'll learn about physical computing, and in the next few slides I'll talk about what making is and what physical computing is. They'll program a robot. I'm going to spend a night stargazing using the telescopes from our STEM kit. And then they're going to design an object using CAD software. It's software that you would use to design, you know, a car or a house or something, and then you would convert it to an STL file and print it on a 3D printer. So they're going to learn all of that in just a matter of 3 days. And in addition to this, they're also going to have a maker fair. And the maker movement is something, if you haven't heard about it, you will. It's coming your way. It's out on the East Coast. I just attended tonight, as a matter of fact, a maker fair. And I'll talk to you about that in just a minute too. But that's one of the things we'll be doing at this camp, is a maker fair. And the students and adults that are participating will get to experience just making something, you know, tinkering with things and seeing how things work. One of the reasons that I feel this is important is because so many kids think that their cell phones and all of their electronic gadgets are magic. They don't know how they work. And this is a way to kind of step back and show kids how things work. Okay, next slide. So these are some of the things that I've been doing, and I just want to kind of shift gears to some things that are happening here, some things that I'll be doing, and you know, some things that are coming your way. So the maker movement is one of the things that I'll talk about in a minute, and that is happening all over the East Coast, and I know it's growing. The DC Maker Faire is something that I just participated in today. Tomorrow I'll be going to a Maker Faire workshop, and they have several representatives from the White House that will be there. And next weekend I'll be heading down to Indianapolis to an engineering education workshop where they're going to cover how to actually implement engineering into the schools. Then the big announcement that just took place a couple days ago is the President Obama announced that we're going to have the first ever White House Maker Faire, and he has declared June 18th to be National Day of Making. And he's also challenged the mayors of your town, so this is a way you can get your mayors involved, to come up with a maker space in your community, either in the library, university, or schools, or some place in your town where people can go and just make and tinker and try to learn physical computing. And when I keep saying that, but I'll tell you about that in just a minute. And then, but the mayors, there's a challenge going on right now. How many mayors in the United States can they get to promote engineering in their communities and making? and getting our kids making things and trying to figure out how things work. Then I'll be heading off to Atlanta for another making kind of workshop. I'm the speaker down there for it's a technology education workshop, but we're also going to be doing a lot of 3D printing and teaching teachers how to use the CAD software so they can design some projects with their students. And then before I come to Wyoming, I'll be going to NASA at the Johnson Space Center and participating in their liftoff conference. It's called Let's Engineer It. It's the same conference that I'm bringing to Wyoming. And there's a lot of NASA astronaut engineers that will be speaking there. We'll be doing a lot of the same things that we'll be doing in Wyoming. CAD software, 3D printing, physical computing, and digital fabrication. And then my last thing I'll be doing to finish this first year of my fellowship, I've been asked to do a maker workshop for the engineering directorate at the National Science Foundation. So they too have really gotten on the wagon as far as wanting to know what this maker movement is all about and how can National Science Foundation, what role should they play in this movement. So that'll be pretty exciting. And then the month of August I'll be in Montana, and then I'll come back out here at the end of August to start my second year. Okay, next slide. So what is making? What is the maker movement? These are pictures of what making looks like. At the upper left corner is, let me see, oh, it's conductive ink, and you know, making cards that light up. It's kind of electronic cards that you can use your little lead lights or batteries and electronic ink to write messages, and it lights up. Below that is my 3D printer, and I've been making a lot of gliders. One of the things I've been doing since I've been out here, if you ever watch my or kind of follow my Facebook, is I've been doing a lot of gliding. My boss is a flight instructor, a gliding instructor, and so I've been trying to get my gliding rating while I'm out here. So I've been 3D printing a lot of gliders, and that's one of the projects we'll be doing in Wyoming, is making some aircraft. The next is what's called a lily pad, where you can actually have some conductive thread and sew that right into your fabric of your clothes and make it light up with lights. One of my favorites is the Makey Makey, and that's in the bottom left corner. And that is something you can, it's just a little circuit board that you can use some alligator clips and clip it to use a USB port to your computer, and then hook it up to Bananas and go to the little download Makey Makey software piano, and then you can play the piano, play the bananas like they're a piano. Somebody asked a question about what's the cost of liftoff, and liftoff, and it's through the Texas Space Grant Consortium, and if you live in Texas, it's I'm not sure what the price is. There's an out-of-state price too, but the application was due in April, so it's something that they do every summer, and I think the applications come out in January. So it's something that you could apply for next year, but I'm actually doing this very same workshop, the engineering education part in Wyoming, minus the astronauts. But it is just a phenomenal workshop. Margaret Baggio puts it on. And I believe it's, you can apply for this through your state's Space Grant Consortium, and the 2 times that I've gone, my state has paid for it in full, so it hasn't cost me anything. And STEM, again, is science, technology, engineering, and math, for someone that asked that question. then we have Arduino, and that is what the physical computing is. So it's coding. It's writing a code and trying to make something light up or work. So you can, make a propeller spin. And you're just writing a code on the computer using Arduino code to make it. And again, you're using a little breadboard or circuit board with some wires and lead lights, and you're making things work. And kids are seeing how these things work. Bottom right corner is a Maker Faire. This is just an example of something. This is how I first learned about Maker Fairs. I had no idea what they meant and what they were until I actually attended. And I had a 3D printer and a little 2D printer, a silhouette, kind of like a Cricut. If you know anybody that scrapbooks at Michael's, you can get those little 2D printers, and they just cut out little cutouts on cardstock. And so with students, I would use a 2D printer and cut out some little foldables in paper, and then make gears and cams, and then convert that to a design on a CAD software, and then print it up in 3D to make it stronger. So I could practice all I want with paper, and then switch to 3D printing. Now 3D printing takes a long time to print, so you don't want to, you just don't have the time, and it costs a lot of money to make a lot of mistakes. So you want to make your mistakes with paper in designing, and then switch over to 3D printing to print out your final project. And so this was just a Maker Faire I attended, and we just had some demonstrations. Most Maker Fairs are fairs where kids come and they actually do something. On going up, you see the yellow shirt. That's what a lily pad is. You can see the flower and the conductive conductive thread that I use to make those lights light up. And then again, there's the Arduino, and that's just a little breadboard that you can connect, and it all connects to your computer, so you can code it and make things work. And then a really elementary activity, and we did this today, was squishy circuits. You can make conductive Play-Doh with a lot of salt, and then non-conductive Play-Doh as insulator, and just get LED lights and some wires and a battery, and just have kids experiment a little bit with circuits. So that's your very introductory engineering. Okay, next slide. So this is bringing you up to today. This is what happened today in Washington, D.C. We had a little D.C. mini Maker Faire, and tomorrow is our Maker Workshop with teachers. And so we showcased our making the White House green project. We have our little White House and smart car and wind turbines and our garden and all kinds of things in the upper left corner. Then I don't know if any of you CAP, if your squadrons or wing had participated in this rocket competition, but these are some gals that live here in Maryland that competed, and those are the rockets that they competed in. And there was, I think, over 700 teams that came and participated in this rocket challenge. The next slide are some little, not really sure, they're just little spinny things. You pull the string out and it's a spinning top-like thing, but they're all 3D printed. So people are starting to make toys that are 3D printed. And then bottom left is Joey Hurl, who is the kid that you probably saw going to the White House to shoot his marshmallow shooter. Well, he was at the Maker Faire today, and he's going back to see the president next week and taking his marshmallow shooter with him. And he was personally invited to be one of the guests, the VIP guests at the first ever White House Maker Faire. So that was fun to see him today and meet him. And he's from Arizona, and just a very personable person. And he's a senior in high school, And instead of going to college, Intel has hired him full-time to work for them. So he'll be going right to Intel and designing toys. Next slide. This is the Engineering Education Conference. If any of you are interested in going, it's a one-day conference in Indianapolis, and it's teaching us, and we'll be discussing how best to implement engineering into the schools using the next generation science standards. What's happening in a lot of schools is that the physics teachers or science teachers are becoming engineers, the engineering teachers, and they don't really have that background. And some of the schools are hiring engineers that really don't have an education background, and they have a hard time, you know, managing the students in their class. So we need to figure this out, you know, how best to teach engineering in schools and how best to train the teachers. And so that's one of the topics we'll be discussing. And a lot of the universities are starting to, you know, try to come up with a curriculum for potential teachers, and you know what kind of engineering classes they need to teach to prepare them for schools. And a lot of engineers are taking education classes, so they can go into the schools and help and use their engineering background to teach, but they also need to know how to handle kids. So it's kind of a fun collaboration, and I'm really enjoying working with the engineers and sharing some things with them and learning a lot from them too. Next slide. So here's how you can participate in the first ever Maker Faire at the White House. There's at the very bottom of this screen, there is a website that you can go to. And if you do any kind of making whatsoever in your squadrons, in your wing, schools, home, anything, on June 18th, you can submit your pictures to this website, and it will be shown on the White House website blog. And they're highlighting people's activities all over the United States. So post your photos. Anything that you know, if you're making rockets in your squadrons, any kind of engineering, get photos and send it in. You can also volunteer or have an open house. You can volunteer to mentor for someone who is interested in learning about engineering. Create a project of your own and then share your plans. Organize a maker roundtable to identify and convene maker thoughts leaders in your community. Get your mayors involved and see, you know, have them help you promote this. Ask businesses to, you know, help schools out, or find a library or museum or university that could create a makerspace. But this is a movement that's coming, and there's a lot of communities that are using museums and libraries to create makerspaces. Okay, next slide. All right, I guess that is it. And if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Hey, this is Stan Scrabbit. Great presentation by Kay. Really appreciate her coming by today. Marjorie asked a question about the Super Week, and one, this is the first time that we're doing it, and we're just trying to get to understand it a little bit, how we can make this work for the Rocky Mountain region. This is an idea from Colonel Bost, and Colonel Bost is really excited. So the idea is that we are going to have multiple workshops, that we are going to not only have this opportunity that Kay is presenting, but we're going to also have things dealing with emergency services, professional development, things for the senior members, maybe the Region Cadet Leadership School, all kinds of things like that. So we are looking forward to having this type of event happen every year, and with that, that you can expect to have more news on it. We plan to continuously announce this in the operations bulletins that are getting posted, that the squadron commanders are getting, but also we are posting this information on the Rocky Mountain Region website, and I'll go ahead and share that information with you in the future. So let me pass on some questions to Kay. So there was a question dealing with the JAG Test. How does it get into the system? So hold on.
Your Jaeger test is entered as soon as you take the test. It's automatically entered into the system if you take it online. If you don't take it online, they have to submit a form, and then it gets entered the long way. But if you take it online, it's automatically entered.
Okay, and also with that, you probably need to tell your wing headquarters or your wing aerospace education director that you have somebody that haven't received their certificate, because certificates are not coming from national anymore. They're coming from your wing administrator. So you kind of need to know that. So if anyone has more questions. We'll hang out for a couple seconds. Poor Kay can't hear me, so.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. And if there's any questions that you think of, I'd be more than happy to answer. Also, if you have any topics that you would like to me to cover in the next sessions, let me know, and I'll make sure to do that. But I also want to thank you so much for all the work that you're doing in the region and in your squadrons in the wing. And, you are truly people that these kids look to, and you make all the difference. Aerospace is something that our country is #1 in, and kids absolutely are just drawn to aerospace education. And you just never know who will end up as an aerospace engineer, but what you're doing is really making a difference. And I just want to thank you very much for your time tonight and for what you're doing. And I'm very proud to be a part of this region. So thank you very much. The dates for the Super Week, July 17th, 18th, and 19th, Thursday through Sunday.
All right, very good. Thank you
very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Kay. Great job. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast, and we'll get this recording out, and other folks will be able to see it.